In 2006, JAL and ANA controlled an impressive 94% of the Japanese aviation market. By 2012, this share had already dropped to 83%. 4 years later, it plummeted to 78%. In just one decade, the two giants lost 16 percentage points of market share. And the worst part was not the loss itself. JAL executives realized that the fastest-growing segment in Asia was precisely the one where the company could not compete. While companies like AirAsia X, Scoot, Jetstar, and Cebu Pacific won millions of passengers by offering international flights at much lower prices, JAL watched this transformation without having a product capable of competing for this customer. The solution seemed simple: lower prices. But this decision could destroy everything the company had built over decades. How would a company globally recognized for premium service compete with low-cost carriers without cannibalizing its own business? JAL was out of options. Passenger behavior was changing, and it needed to decide between protecting its past or adapting to the future. That was when a historic decision was made. It was not born to make JAL more money, it was born to prevent the company from losing the international market. And this decision gave birth to one of the most unusual airlines today. All this trouble gains even more problematic tones when we focus on the map of the Pacific Ocean. Japan occupies a strategic position in trans-Pacific connections between North America and Southeast Asia, being an important connection point for several international routes. Geographically, the country functions as an immense aerial roundabout linking the United States, Southeast Asia, and Oceania. Almost every flight crossing the west coast towards hubs like Bangkok, Singapore, or Manila must obligatorily cut through that airspace or make a stopover there. It is where the most contested and expensive routes on the globe. The axes connecting Japan to the US, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and the Philippines move gigantic human masses every year. This flow has always been the goldmine of traditional airlines, sustained by suits and corporate travel funded by multinationals. It was this easy money that paid for JAL's fixed costs. But recently, something began to change. Consumer behavior research flashed the red light in Tokyo offices. The naked and raw truth came out. The glamour of flying was dead for the vast majority of people. The new generation of travelers simply does not want to know about luxury. This new customer accepts the complete hassle package, pays for luggage separately, buys the sandwich on board, faces endless connections, and travels with knees glued to the front seat. The only golden rule for them is to save hundreds of dollars at the end of the day. While JAL insisted on maintaining its posture, a flood of long-haul, low-cost carriers began to surround Japan from all sides. Scoot began capturing passengers coming from Singapore and Taiwan. AirAsia X dug its claws into Malaysian and Thai routes. Cebu Pacific pulverized prices in the Philippines. Jetstar dominated access to Australia, and Peach took over the short domestic range. These brands did not want to steal the CEO traveling in first class. They created a market from scratch. They generated an avalanche of new customers that began to empty the economy class of traditional flights. JAL found itself isolated, trying to sell haute couture to an audience that only wanted a basic, cheap t-shirt. JAL could swallow its pride in lower prices once and for all, breaking the famous legacy trap. But it would not be simple. The company is a gigantic and rigid gear. Contracts with pilot and crew unions have decades of shielding. Maintaining the 5-star lounge machine in Narita and Haneda, state-of-the-art individual screens, menus signed by renowned chefs, and generous checked baggage embedded in the ticket costs an absurd fortune before the plane even starts its engines. The math simply would not add up. Entering a knife fight with AirAsia, selling the ticket at the same price, would mean burning millions of dollars per flight. For worse, the risk of destroying its reputation was real. If service quality plummeted to cut costs, premium corporate clients, the real source of profit, would abandon ship immediately. To anyone looking from the outside, it looked like checkmate. the Japanese giant was cornered by its own perfection. When the market thought it was the end of the line, JAL's management pulled a card from their sleeve that nobody predicted. Zipair Tokyo. No creating an economy division inside JAL, they founded a startup from scratch. Minimalistic visual identity. The base was thrown to Narita Airport, leaving the coveted Haneda Airport free and untouched for JAL's business flights. Narita is cheaper, has less bureaucracy, and focuses on leisure tourism. For the fleet, they confiscated Boeing 787 Dreamliners from JAL itself. The plane already has a very good record of economy and would be fundamental for the business, but the interior was completely gutted. They ripped out the entertainment screens to keep the aircraft light and stuffed the cabin with as many seats as possible. The JAL name vanished on the fuselage. The average passenger has no idea who is in charge there. If Zipair operated a service that was too basic, JAL's immaculate image would remain safe, watching everything from a luxury box. But that was just the beginning. Behind this low-cost facade lies a brilliant strategy that almost nobody notices. Zipair became JAL's biggest aviation hacker laboratory. Testing disruptive technologies or new charges on a traditional airline is a minefield of complaints. At Zipair, JAL gained a playground to fail fast, validate models, and collect data without burning the main brand. Want an example of this subversion? Zipair deleted physical screens from seats. The passenger connects to the internal Wi-Fi and consumes media on their own phone or tablet. In return, they offer 100% free internet for everyone on board, a heresy that traditional JAL charges a fortune to unlock on its flights. The entire purchasing journey is digital. You choose your meal, buy a blanket, or check an extra bag directly through an app, eliminating wasted time and staff processing payments mid-flight. Every click and every behavior of this new consumer turns into gold in the hands of analysts in Tokyo. The dynamic pricing algorithms validated at Zipair serve as ammunition for JAL to calibrate its own fares. What was supposed to be just a cheap subsidiary became the technological brain of the entire corporation. As soon as Zipair's lime green striped Dreamliners began flying, the message was delivered. Peace in Asian aviation was over, and the fare war was officially declared. ANA had to play catch-up, repositioning Peach Airlines and launching Air Japan from paper to try and bite the same market share. Industry veterans like Scoot and AirAsia X saw their profit margins shrink on Tokyo routes, being forced to slash prices or hunt for new secondary destinations to avoid flying with empty seats. On the other side of the ocean, the American Iron Trio, United, American, and Delta, turned on the alert signal. Their fear was not losing the executive client, but seeing the economy class floor collapse. Seeing Zipair selling direct flights from Tokyo to Los Angeles and San Jose for unbelievable values forced a general reassessment in the trans-Pacific market. The competition realized that the long-distance low-cost model, which many consider dead after several bankruptcies in Europe, gains absurd strength when it has the deep pockets and know-how of a traditional giant backing the game behind the scenes. And the market better prepare, because the numbers of this strategy began to take off much faster than the most optimistic projections predicted. Zipair went on an aggressive expansion. What started with short hops to Seoul and Bangkok turned into a heavy network covering Singapore, Honolulu, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Vancouver in Canada. The occupancy rate stayed at high levels, compatible with the standard observed among long-haul low-cost carriers. Passenger volume skyrocketed, and with it came the true engine of low costs, ancillary revenue. The money coming from selling extra bags, assigned seats, and pre-ordered meals started filling the JAL Group's coffers. With the operation running in the black and turning a profit, the mindset changed. The fleet is being expanded, with new aircraft being incorporated. The already negotiating the purchase of new Boeing 787s ordered straight from the factory, preparing the ground to attack destinations that previously seemed impossible for a low-cost airline. And the funniest thing is that Zipair was never intended to be just an easy money-making machine. It is a geopolitical chess piece for the JAL Group that ended up working out very well and became a successful startup. By putting Zipair to operate on mass tourism routes, JAL created a protective barrier in Narita against foreign invasions. If an outside competitor tries to enter Japan by appealing to low prices, it will not face the untouchable Japan Airlines. It will bleed money trying to go head-to-head with Zipair's ultra-lean efficiency. This shielding allowed JAL Mainline to keep its luxury fares untouched at the top, focusing only on the high-income corporate client and saving its margins in Haneda. Zipair guarantees the volume and statistical dominance of the group in the airspace, while JAL guarantees prestige and net profit. It is the perfect ecosystem, two brands playing on the same team, capturing both ends of the market. This turnaround leaves a flea behind the ear of the entire aviation industry. What is the limit of this model? With new long-range jets becoming increasingly efficient, how long until Zipair points its nose toward Europe, invades hubs like London or Frankfurt, and breaks the legs of traditional European carriers? Will the group allow the arrival of larger aircraft like the Boeing 787-9 to dump even more seats on American routes? A few years ago, JAL created Zipair in a desperate move of audacity not to be run over by the future. Today, the board is turned. Is this low-cost startup about to transform into the most vital gear of the entire JAL empire? That answer is being drawn right now, miles above the Pacific.